quirk of fate and good luck that David Berkowitz, then a 24-year-old postal worker living in Yonkers, was arrested on August 10, 1977. Bill Clark is a former NYPD detective who works the case, and he's here to take us inside the terror and the takedown of one of America's most notorious killers. Bill, welcome to you. Let me start off by asking you this. What was it, and do you remember the moment when the department and the folks that were on this case first realized this might not be a single incident? We might indeed have a serial killer on our hands.
Yeah, I think the thing that really nailed it was the letter to Breslin, but the ballistic, before that, he was using a revolver, so there was no shells, but there was the bullets that were in the 44 caliber. And it was identified. It was probably about 3 incidents in, I think. And then the thing that really nailed it was when Berkowitz wrote the letter.
Describe how the public was reacting to these series of killings, especially when it became known that we were talking about a serial killer.
I think the thing that made him different, because I worked the individuals, other killers that were kind of serial killers, but they always were targeting other drug dealers or people who put themselves in harm's way based on their behavior. These were totally innocent victims who did nothing to put themselves in harm's way. They're sitting on the stoop, they're sitting in the car, they're kissing their boyfriend. So it really had everybody in panic. People were afraid to go out at night. Young women were afraid. It really had the whole city, in a full-blown panic. And I don't think anybody before or after that has ever affected people in that regard.
So you get the string of events, a summons issued for a parking violation. A person on the phone says, "I know this guy, he's crazy, shot my father's dog." You get out to his house. There's somebody who also says, "I know this guy, he is crazy," named Craig. Now the names are the same names that are showing up in the information that's being left by the son of Sam. So David Berkowitz walks out and just literally has a bag in his hand with the 44, with the revolver, and says, "I give up, I'm the guy"?
Well, that's close. No, what happened was when they were set up on the car a distance away watching it to see if he came out.
Right.
Because they were going to get a search. One guy went to get a search warrant for the car to search it. And this guy, Craig, come walking up to the car. They jumped him. And he said, because they thought he might have been the owner of the car.
Right.
He said, "No, I saw some guys looking around. I just wondered why. I'm an auxiliary cop, blah, blah, blah." And then he told them that. So then they all, including Craig, sat a distance away watching the car. Berkowitz come out to get in the car. And then when they grabbed him, that's when he said, "Yes, I'm the son of Sam."
Is it a reasonable assumption, Bill, to say he was about to get in his car with the gun in the bag, that it may well have stopped another homicide from taking place?
There's no question about it. He actually had a rifle in the back of the car, and the letter was to the Suffolk Police Department saying that he was going to go into the Oak Beach Inn at nightclub and go out in a blaze of glory, shooting up as many people as he could and probably dying. That's what he had said.
Tell us about David Berkowitz. What was he like? What did he say about all of this when he gets arrested?
Well, I was lucky enough to get alone with him in a room for about a half hour. And he told me about every incident and why he did it and what started it and how he felt. And he was talking very relaxed. I mean, this was something that he'd been living through. And, he was kind of loving the glory because obviously he let those letters there because he wanted publicity. He wanted to be this kind of guy. So if you see the pictures of him getting taken out of the station house and everything, he loves it. I always thought, because I had to deal with the victims of these crimes and their families, if I ever got in a room with this guy, I'd rip his heart out of his chest. But when I sat down with him and he started talking, you realize he's just really crazy, and I couldn't get mad. I just couldn't, as much as I hated what he'd done.
You said he talked to you about each of them, and you said he talked about why. What did he say to you about why he was doing this?
Because he had shot and he thought killed Sam Carr's dog. And then a couple of days later, Sam Carr puts, after the vet treats the dog, he puts it back in the yard and it's barking again. Now in his sick mind, he starts understanding that this dog is talking to him for the owner, Sam, and he's a 6,000-year-old being and he's crying for blood. But the one thing and why he's in jail for the rest of his life is because even though he's crazy, he knew what he was doing was wrong. And that was a lesson I learned through that case.
He was not, you and I know the definition of criminal insanity, and he was not that. I mean, you and I would look at anybody who would take somebody's lives like that and you say they have to be crazy, but he was not criminally insane that would have in some ways resulted in a not guilty by reason of insanity decision for him, yes?
No, exactly. But that was a lesson I learned with that case, because when I walked out of that room that night, I said, he's going to go to a mental hospital. But I realized later that, number one, he was pleading guilty. He wanted to plead guilty. He wasn't looking for a trial.
He did from the beginning, Bill? From the beginning, he just basically said to you, let me tell you what I did. I want to accept my responsibility.
Yeah, he just, well, I don't know if the accept the responsibility was the proper term, but he wanted to get the credit for what he had done.
Bill Clark, former NYPD detective, a fascinating look inside the details of this murder spree and the arrest of David Berkowitz. Bill, thanks for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir, and have a great day.